This is the first 2018 movie I see. The Beyond is a 2018 sci-fi film about a strange event that just pops up out in space and nobody really knows what it is. It kind of looks like a supernova. People are saying it's a black hole. People are saying it's a wormhole. They're not entirely sure, but if they look real close right through it, they kind of see what seems to be a planet on the other side. So what they want to do is they want to go through this wormhole to see what's on the other side. They want to see this planet. But the problem with that is all the scientists seem to think that it's not safe for us to go there. So what they end up doing is they create robots that have human brains. Now the problem with this movie is that, in my opinion, it just wasn't ready to be made. It has so many faults. It just does a lot of things wrong. I had to live tweet it when I was watching it because you get the first sense that it's going to have bad visuals when it shows photographs of people where they just pasted somebody else's face on them. If you look closely enough, the glasses that he's wearing just fade into his face. I could do a better Photoshop job than that. And there's another part in the movie where they're editing this speech that somebody is making to a group of people. They go on this tangent, and it's almost like they forget their line because they pause for a second. It's a quick edit where it just jumps from their face here to there. Why? There was no point. They're talking to a group of people. You could cut away to somebody else. You could change the angle of somebody talking. You could have an exterior shot or show something about the space that they're talking about. But no, it keeps on them. And when they forget their line, it just does a quick edit shot to what they're saying. And then what I'm saying is it makes no sense. But we'll get into that. First up, we look at the people category. Acting-wise, terrible. It is not difficult to act when you're talking about documentary style, found footage, or anything like that, because you don't have to act. You just don't. You just act like yourself, whatever. And these people are trying to act serious. They're trying to act like they belong, so they're overacting, and it just feels so off and just awful, and you're just thrown out of the movie because these people are trying to be something that they're not. If you were making a student film and you're like, hey dad, can you play this part? He's pretending like he's a great actor and he's this serious role. I think this is a serious problem because so-and-so gigs. And that's what you get in this movie, and it's just bad all around, zero. Characters were fine. I wouldn't say they're bad characters. They're basically what you would expect for a sci-fi movie like this. I'll just say one for that. Casting, likewise, what I just said about casting somebody's dad, because that's what it kind of feels like. It just feels like they just cast the wrong people, and they all did a terrible job, so zero. Importance, I feel like they're trying to tell you that these characters are important, that they have these important roles that they're trying to fulfill. These are scientists, and this is a research person, this is a robot specialist, and all these different things. But you don't really feel it because you're so annoyed about how people are acting and how long it's taking just to tell a story. I digress. It only gets one. Chemistry, not really a chemistry movie, thank God, because if they were trying to be chemistry, it would have been bad. So chemistry only gets one. Writing score. When it comes down to the dialogue, I'm not kidding when it feels like they just rant. They just keep talking and you never know when they're going to stop. It's like a run-on sentence. And then they'll go on a different tangent about something else. And then they'll return to that first tangent, and you think never gonna end. Dialogue gets zero. How balanced it is, it's just about that wormhole that's out in space that nobody knows what it's about, but it feels more convoluted than it is just because it never seems to end. It keeps talking about these things and these things that don't seem to really matter. You just want the movie to get on with it, and it never seems to do that. Zero. Story's okay, nothing super great there, so I'm gonna give it 1. Originality, I gotta say this kind of felt like Interstellar if it was done super cheaply. 1. Interesting, the trailers interested me enough to watch it because I do like sci-fi movies. While watching it, I was blown away at how bad it was. 1. BTS score. Terrible visuals. Photoshopping the faces onto the photographs that just looked bad. But beyond that, this is a sci-fi movie that takes place in space with some weird thing going on outside. Every single time they try to focus on these things that should have good visuals and make it look like a really nice movie, it's one of those things where the camera starts spazzing out or is blurry or is overexposed to the point where you can't ever see what's going on. Proves to me the fact that they weren't ready to make this movie, because if they were, they'd show what's going on because it seems to be important. 0. Directing, nothing really seems out of place here. It's not the best movie in the world, but the directing seemed okay. I will give 1 for that. Editing gets 0. There was that cut. You see it all the time in my reviews because it's just a review. I'm not trying to make a movie. If I was, I'd make the edits more calm. I'd make the sound blend in together. I know how to do these things, but I don't care because it's a movie review. It's not an actual movie. They're a movie. They should know better. Editing gets 0. I felt like the advertisement was false because I had no idea it was going to be a mockumentary. No idea at all. The trailers made it seem to be just another sci-fi movie that kind of takes place out in space, where this robot suit's going to tackle something that's going on. But that's really not what you get when you're watching it. It's mostly just people staring at the camera trying to explain something. They have no idea what they're doing. Not even the actors understand what they're talking about. Advertisement was slightly false. 1. Music and sound, nothing really stands out here. It's just typical. 1. Narrative arc score. Usually Introductions does a pretty good job of introducing you to characters and what's going on, the setting of everything. The setting, maybe. It doesn't really introduce characters all that well. I mean, all you really get is a thing on the bottom of the screen that says their name and their occupation, and that's it. So there's no real introduction to people. 1 for introduction. Inciting incident happens early on. Obviously, it's the thing that sticks out in space. That gets 2 out of 2. Obstacles, you don't really feel like there's much of an obstacle. 1. Climax was good. I think they did a good job of making everything a culmination of everything that made sense. 2 out of 2. Falling action, it does calm down. It doesn't really return to a new norm per se. It just once again carries on and goes on a run-on sentence after everything's done, and you're like, the movie's over. Why do you keep going on? 1. Entertainment score. Rewatchability? Not a chance. Fun? Slightly. I did have a good time making fun of the movie when it was terrible, because it was. Impulse to buy it? Not a chance, mister. I'm going to give that a 0. Do I have an impulse to talk about it other than this review? 0. Does it suck the audience in? Well, like I said, with those bad actings, it pushes an audience out, and most people, I feel like, would want to stop the movie before it ends. So 0. Specialty score. First, you want to know about the science fiction element. Yes, this is science fiction. This gets full points, 10 out of 10. This is also listed as a horror film on IMDb. It says horror sci-fi, which is weird, because there's nothing about this that is horror. I don't get it. What am I supposed to be afraid of? The thing in space? No. This is the kind of thing you see in most sci-fi movies that don't say they're horror. 0. Now the title, The Beyond, I want to know what is beyond. I want to know more about this planet. Did they go over it? I guess you can say that, yeah, but it's so glossed over. It's like you just wasted your time wanting to know what's on the other side, because it's really, really glossed over. But because they kind of talk about it, I'm going to give it half points and say 5. Now, as a found footage / mockumentary, not the greatest. You can tell that it's a mockumentary, and I think for the most part they did their job there. But this is mockumentary. This is not found footage, so there shouldn't be shaky cam, and there is. And there shouldn't be weird cuts like that, and there is. And because of that, it feels so amateurish. And because that they are using filters on their video that is no better than, say, Instagram or the filters you find on your phone, it doesn't feel like a mockumentary as it should. So I'm going to give half points and say 5. Halfway decent? I'm going to say no to this. I'm going to say, first of all, they don't know their target audience. Second of all, they just weren't ready to make this movie. The concept is just okay. And when you have a concept that's just okay, you need everything else to be great. If you have a concept that's just okay and everything's bad, you have one bad movie on your hand, and it is not halfway decent. I could have made this movie better, and whenever that happens, I gotta give 0. If we add everything up, we get 37 out of 100 possible stars. 37%. I cannot believe this is the first 2018 movie that I saw. It might just be the worst movie of the year. Who knows? Guys, if you've seen it, tell me what you thought about The Beyond in the comments down below, and you can follow me on track.tv and Twitter at the username IAMDWG. For YouTube, you can subscribe to me, hit that like button, and hit that bell to be notified when I come out with my next movie review, which will be tomorrow, and that will be Abe and Phil's Last Poker Game. Until then, guys, peace out and have a good Thursday.